Great. Welcome everyone to our second community meeting for Quincy Street Play Area. My name is Max Sell. I'm a project manager for the City of Boston's Park Department who's stewarding the project to improve the park. So on behalf of the department, the design team, and I want to thank everyone for taking the time to be here tonight. We're really excited to get on with the presentation. I just have a couple housekeeping items to take care of at the top. Next slide, please. Yeah, perfect. As you heard up top, the meeting tonight is being recorded. We do that in order to post it later to the project website, so people who aren't able to make it tonight can have access to the same program. We should have that up in the next few days, so keep your eye out for an email. We'll be sure to let you know when that is available. We're going to skip a little bit of this here. Could you go to the next slide, please? For live interpretation, you can click the globe icon. I've never done this. Then choose the language you'd like, and it will show up as a caption after a short delay. So I will do my best to speak plainly and clearly and remember to slow down. But I would guess that interpretation may not be exactly correct. Next slide, please. So just a reminder to anyone participating in the discussion to please treat everyone here respectfully. We would like to hear from everyone willing to share their thoughts. And in order to do that, we need to guarantee the same level of attention from our audience. So please be mindful of time. We'll keep our questions brief so we can get in as many as possible. And if you've been called on, please wait your turn for others to speak before taking another turn. Next slide, please. You can raise your hand during the discussion section. And if anything comes to mind during the chat, please put them during the presentation, please put those in the chat. We'll respond to questions at the end and won't be pausing during the presentation to answer any individual questions. Next slide. So just a quick look at kind of what to expect tonight. I will first be introducing the design team and giving a brief overview of the project before handing it over to the presentation for them. After that, we'll hold a discussion section where we can exchange thoughts and questions about the project. And we'll finish tonight with info on the coming survey and next meeting. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, my name is Max Sell. I'm the project manager for the city's Parks and Recreation Department. Joining me tonight from the city are Michael McMillan, our community outreach coordinator, and tonight's moderator. Asha Janae is our neighborhood services liaison for Roxbury. And presenting tonight, we have Samir Boite, design director at Warner Larson, now IMEG. We also have the firm's principal, David Warner, and new to the team tonight joining us is Michelle Johnson, a landscape designer. Next slide, please. This is where we'd like to give elected officials a chance to speak, but I don't believe we have any on our call. So I will proceed onward. So we started our engagement process here in the early fall, putting out a survey to gather feedback on to give us kind of a sense of what neighbors needed at the park. Right now we're here at our second community meeting where we'll be presenting 3 alternative design ideas for it. And after this presentation, we will post a survey to kind of collect your feedback on the concepts you see here tonight. From there, we'll go on to refine kind of what we hear into a final schematic design, and we'll be presenting that again to you later in the spring. Next slide, please. So this is a slide that we put in of all of our meetings. It shows the categories of inputs that kind of go into designing a park. So if you've attended any other parks meeting, this slide definitely looks familiar to you. So one of these kind of actors, the city, lays out their goals in the Imagine Boston 2030 plan. Some of those goals include investing in open space, promoting a healthy living environment, and improving the overall quality of life for residents and visitors. So on behalf of my friends and the planning department, I would strongly encourage you to check that out. We also attend to things such as safety guidelines and regulations. Those usually have to do with fall heights or ADA grades and community input, which is why we're here tonight. So With that, I'm going to hand things over now to Samir to review what we heard from you on our previous surveys. So, Samir, please take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Max. So, as Max said, I'm Samir Boite with Warner Arsenal IMEC, part of the design team. And thank you to those who are actually joined the meeting and will be watching the presentation. I'm just going to do a quick recap for those who may not have listened to the first presentation. A very quick recap of the existing park conditions. So get a layout for the feel if you've not been to the park before we get into the design discussion about some concepts of renovations. So from the existing conditions, these are sort of the big program elements, what currently at the park. The main thing is you got the big basketball court. It's a full size basketball court. It's like in the back of the park right now. And you have the park is organized around a sort of a central common area, which is like the gathering area. There's like some 4 picnic tables. It's got some nice mature shade trees. And the park has sort of 4 fitness zones on either sides. All of these walkways currently from the main entrance are accessible. What this doesn't show you, if you're not been to the park, is the basketball court is at a slightly higher elevation than the sidewalk, about roughly it's around 4 feet. So those walkways, when you get to the basketball court, they're slightly sloping walkways. Those curved walkways to the side, if you see them, they are curved. Uh, so that's the existing program elements. What we have across the school is across the playground. It's a Heinz Early Education Center, and then you have some residential homes on the right side of the park, and there's a big apartment complex to the left, the Clarion Apartments, which faces Blue Hill Avenue. Showing you some key photos, starting at the very bottom right. That's like if you are on Quincy Street and walking towards Blue Hill Ave, there's a little existing stone wall with like this granite cap anchoring in that the park entrance. When you The second photo at the very top left is when you're looking into the park, right? If you're centering looking at the park, that's the central gathering area that I mentioned to you. The basketball court is a little bit behind. It's hard to see from this photo. Um, the fitness zones, they are tucked away to the sides. As you can see in the existing photos, they are tucked against the retaining walls on all the 4 sides of the park. And the back corner of the basketball court, the top right photo, if you see that, there's a small retaining wall, but there's also a big retaining wall. And behind that is like the garages of the homes behind it. So those are the existing sort of conditions, like the kind of the key constraints we are working within the park. These are some of the existing photos of the current fitness equipment. They seem somewhat repetitive. They are mostly like sort of push-ups and like stretching stations, but there's not a lot of different variety. But those are 4 different fitness zones currently within the park. Just the existing condition of basketball court. The court is really in poor condition, as you can see in the top left corner. A lot of cracks. Some existing benches. They are like showing the age now. They're recycled plastic benches. There is sports lighting, which is working for the basketball courts, and there is also pedestrian lighting in the park. And that's another photo of the retaining wall by the basketball court. I want to go through some key feedback we received at the first community meeting. So that'll be helpful for those who did not attend the first meeting. Uh, the first one is that the mentioned to you that there is the Haynes Education Early Education Center right across the park. They do have 2 age-appropriate playgrounds, one for the younger children, 2 to 5, and the one for the older 5 to 12. It's supposed, for what we heard from the community, is that it's supposed to be open to the public, like as in like after the school hours and the weekends, but sometimes it is closed. So we are still working with to figure out how that is operated. The feedback we got that the basketball court, even though it's in not in poor, it's in poor condition, it's used pretty well, especially during like the summer months and on the weekends and after in the evenings. Also, the fitness is used by both the teenagers and the adults. One of the concerns from the park standpoint is in the new design, it's well lit and for security and safety. The basketball court I mentioned to you, there has sports lighting and it's supposed to play only until 10 p.m. The signs say that, but there needs to be enforcement because sometimes games are played well into midnight. Want to make sure the new design, we don't have a whole lot of passive hangout or benches that could invite some homeless activities. The current chess tables, they're just not really used. Main thing what really came out as a theme in our discussion in the first meeting was really this park lacks an identity. And but at the same time, we understand that this park is a somewhat of a small park in terms of its footprint. So it cannot be a park for everyone. And as an example, one community member gave was the basketball court is going to stay. That's an element that's staying. So a tot lot here does not make sense, or a really just a passive park may not make sense when the basketball courts are in use. Uh, Community also encourages that potentially look into more programming into the basketball court by so that it's not just used by the youth, but potentially all age groups can use the basketball court, including girls. The court could be a multi-court, like potentially have a folks could play volleyball, children could play volleyball or double dutch games. General comment was about just the improvement about the parks, like limbing the trees and maintaining the lawn. So that was the feedback we got from the community meeting number one. Uh, so preface by saying that what we heard from the community feedback is that the basketball court is used. It's a full-size basketball court. So the constant on this park improvement is going to be that the court is staying where it is because from a location standpoint, the size it takes, and I've mentioned to you about how there's great differences between the entrance of this from the street side and the basketball court. So in all this concept, you're going to see that the basketball court is staying in its place. But what are the improvements you could potentially do to the existing basketball court? So I'm going to go through some ideas here, and feel free to drop in the chat window or separately. If you're listening to this presentation, you can email them to Max at Boston Parks. One of the ideas we have seen at some other parks we use is the one on the top left is introducing the concept of a multi-goal. So it's this sort of this fence panel where it's the basketball court is the goal is going to be at the same height, but the fence panel in the back allows like a kid to like throw like play with a soccer goal. So it acts like a soccer goal. So anything that's like it could be a hockey or it could also be lacrosse. So a goal sort of allows them to sort of practice other than a basketball, introduces different sports. There are, of course, painted markings like four squares are popular. We'll make sure then pavement games for younger children like the hopscotch. These again could be painted on the sidelines. We understand that they cannot be used when a game isn't going, but when nobody's using the basketball court, these court markings could be used by some children of younger age. Taking the multi-court idea probably to another level, this would require now to be all fenced in to actually have a game. So not just a toss-up game in the previous one, but having a multi-court on one side of the court. If you do end up now having the multi-court multi-goals on both sides of the court, now you can have kids be playing actually a game. And with the thing we mentioned about the grades being dropping, you would have ball constantly potentially coming into your gathering area, but not just that, potentially also going onto Quincy Street. So I think if there is a desire from the community that the community wants to play other games than basketball, like soccer, like hockey or lacrosse, it shows you an example here that you can get your own volleyball net and you could also have a volleyball game. So that's a sort of a precedent photo here of how that would look like. The fences on the sides, those won't be as tall as a basketball court. So those can be at like 3 feet or 4 feet high, but you would need that would help prevent the balls from going into the gathering area. So these are again concepts for the multi-court, again, just for the basketball court, which can be in all the other future concepts we're going to discuss. So let's get to the design concepts. As Max mentioned, we are here to show you 3 design concepts. And first one is concept A. Concept A is kind of similar in terms of what you have in the existing infrastructure. So it's more like making improvements in place. But the key moves we are doing here is like having, again, for the basketball court, introducing the multi-court goal. That will be common in all the options. But right now, if folks who are familiar with the park, you have the gathering area somewhat spread out. And by bringing it front and center to the park, it sort of creates a welcoming gesture to the park. It consolidates your gathering area. The retaining wall does stay. And I also mentioned how your four fitness zones are somewhat similar equipment. So this concept is introducing, instead of 4 fitness zones, you keep 2 of them, but other 2 could be potential play zones. In the community feedback, we heard that this cannot be a park for everyone. So because it's a park, we understand it's used primarily by, like adults also teenagers. We're trying to introduce player that's going to appeal to the 5 to 12 age group, but also teenagers could use it as part of their fitness and social spaces. So it will be clear when I show you in the next photos as some precedent photos of what those would be. So this is what concept A would be in terms of, again, these are just precedent photos. There are various other play options and fitness options, but kind of showing you a variety of fitness here compared to what's out there in the current park. One is just more on the top bottom right is a stretching pull-up combination. It's more friendly, it's more user-friendly for seniors. The one up above, it's for more of the able-bodied, younger youth. It's like a more pull-up bar circuit station. Again, the play cons play areas, again, both these are for 5 to 12, but these could be appealing as well for teenagers, the climbing box, uh, and the web climbers. Even though they may create social spaces, they're not going to be like comfortable enough for somebody to loiter for too long. So, and visually, they are open. So the sight lines to the park will be open. So that is concept A. Next one is going to be concept B. In concept B, what the big move is that, if again, folks familiar with the park, there is a big circular retaining wall, and that retaining wall is actually holding the lawn behind it. What if we heard something about in the community meeting is that, we don't want to create a lot of social hangout spaces. So what if we were to take out, not have the retaining wall? All of a sudden, you have this big open space of lawn. It will be sloping, and potentially you have two ways to get to the basketball court, but you have one accessible way on the left, which is showing you this concept. If you didn't have the other on the right, the walkway getting to the basketball court, we could level that area a little bit and you can have a larger play space. So now you have identity to the park. When you walk into the park, you are seeing a central gathering area and a play space. The central gathering area is a little smaller in this one, and the play is larger. So that's the big move here. And instead of the 4 fitness zones, you have 2 fitness zones. And we're keeping the fitness zones to the left here, um, as you shown in the picture, because on the right side, you have more residential families. So potential examples of what this could look like is, again, for the senior citizens, that was another thing that came up in the community feedback, is like having fitness that's for all age groups. So the one that's down below on the lower left, it's for all age groups. This is an example of the slope lawn of, the shade of trees. Again, for the larger community gatherings, that can be added space for events. And the pull-up circuit station, again, there are different examples that can fit in. The spaces are tight here, so you cannot have a large fitness like station that you may see at some other parks, because as you can see, it's a small footprint for the park here. But what it opens up from a shade structure, we thought like we could have a shade structure here. That could be a welcoming gesture when you entering the park, and you see some kind of a large climbing structure. Since we heard some community concerns about like having like not having inviting people for homeless activities, we were looking at structures that are visually open. So even when you are standing from Quincy Street, you can see all the way back to the basketball court, and the play equipment structure is not going to hide in your views into the back of the park. So that is concept B. Moving on then next to the next concept, concept C. Concept C now again keeps the play, but what it does is now it makes the play the focal feature of the park. So it puts the play right at the front and center of the park. Again, that sort of invites people and it invites activities. This one also gets rid of that big retaining wall, but what it does is like makes the picnic area out in the back. It makes a little plaza area by the way the basketball court is. So the shelter is now at the back, so it's a higher level, which I mentioned to you. The basketball court is at 4 feet, so your picnic gathering area is like 4 feet above than sort of the play area, and then you can have some terrace steps that can be used for sitting and also watching the play. So the gathering area is sort of common now to both the basketball court and the play area. In this option, because the play is now right in the front, we thought, you know what, you could still keep the fitness zones, all 4 of the fitness zones to the sides, but potentially now have 2 for serving a different age group and 2 for the younger generation. So that's what's doing in concept C. You have 4 fitness zones, the play is right in the front of the park. Again, in keeping in mind that you wouldn't want the play to block the sight lines for the overall park, what here's sort of an example of what's that play structure could be. Again, this play structure I mentioned to you, all of these are going to be for the 5 to 12 age group. Uh, but we are introducing play elements here, understanding that the fitness is used by teenagers as well. This play structure is also inviting. Neither this one is also in the concept B. These play structures should be inviting for teenagers as well. So that's the goal here. That's not visually blocking views into the park and can be used by younger children and also by teenagers. Here we are introducing then, because we have this concept actually has 4 fitness zones, we are able to introduce like a fitness station that sort of has slightly movable parts, which is on the lower bottom left corner, which is has like the moving. You may have seen this in some other park, like a chest press, and the free runner is like a elliptical machine. So it has movement compared to the other fitness stations that are stationary. So these are movement which are friendlier for the seniors in the community. And then again, the upper two that are closer to the basketball court, which is used by the youth and the adults. The fitness station is geared more towards sort of the youths and the teenagers and the adults. But that's an example. The shade structure again will be by the basketball court, so you are in shade. And the tier setting is just like steps in lawn, but can be used as seating as well. So that's showing you again, we understand that none of these concepts you want to have a lot of hangouts, but we can design each of these concepts in such a way that it deters those activities and the park is used by everybody. Coming back to these 3 concepts, I'm going to show you then one, and they are just kind of again rehashing them. So you see them side by side, actually on top of each other. Concept A is renovating in place, keeping the overall layout the same, introducing 2 play zones now, and reducing the 4 fitness zones to 2. The picnic area is consolidated into a smaller pay plaza and surrounding by new trees for shade. But right now, when you in the current concept, the gathering area is set back, so it's sort of a little hidden, and we're bringing it out to the front. In concept B, similar, you have the picnic area, and it's a smaller picnic area with a shelter that welcomes you. The play area is set back just a little bit. You don't have a retaining wall, but you have a larger slope lawn behind the play area, and then you have the one walkway that gets you to the basketball court. In concept C, the play structure is sort of the thing that sort of is the identity of the park when you first walk at the entrance. The gathering area is slightly set back, but you still visually see it based on what I showed you from the structure. Uh, it's a gathering area shared by both the basketball court and the play area, and then you have the stair steps in the slope lawn. What then we have again for the folks who are here in the meeting today listening, we can open up for discussion later, and also for the folks in presentation. We, concept A was kind of similar to what you have. We thought that folks may be more interested in seeing the differences between B and C. So this is a little B and C side by side because it is changing how you perceive the park now. In concept A, again, we are making changes. We're renovating the park, but it won't change dramatically how the park is perceived. In B and C, it will have a different identity to the park in just how the layout is. Uh, so with that being said, I am gonna open up now to questions. I think Max, somebody did join the call, correct?
Yes, we do have someone on the
Okay.
call. If you'd like to add anything, please feel free to come off mute.
Okay. And now we'll stop sharing.
Samir, could you leave
Yeah.
that last slide with the 3 options up?
Yes.
Okay. I see that we have a message in the chat about liking C. If you'd like to expand on that, please go ahead. I think just to kind of fill a little time here, I think what Samir had really communicated successfully there at the end was kind of this question about what does arriving at the park really feel like. And we know right now that right now it feels a little kind of uninviting having that kind of open center area with these things surrounding it. So that's just kind of one key that we've been asking about how to kind of like unlock the potential for this park. It's good to hear that we have an opinion here from our audience member. I'm happy to discuss that more if you have any further questions. Um,
Yes. Do you wanna some? I don't want to put them on the spot, but do you want to add
no,
anything to
no.
it? No. Then they just said they like concept C. Okay.
Yeah, they like concept C. So yeah, that's a very good point. Not to put anyone on the spot here.
Yeah.
If you would like to follow up with me, my email is at the top of this presentation. It is max.cell@boston.gov. Um, I think we're going to just try and conclude here. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. I do want to kind of remind everyone who may be watching this as a recording later, that this meeting is just one part of the larger discussion we're having around the park. Conversations that you are having with your neighbors outside of this are just as important in building that shared vision of what this can be together. So, again, my contact info is in the chat there and in this presentation, and we will be sending out an email with this content once it is posted online. So, once again, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'll stay in the call.